Alrighty, good morning everybody. It is Monday, December 30th, 2024, the last full trading day of the year. Last week I did intend on recording our pre-market for, I believe we missed Thursday. So we're going to look at Thursday of last week and Friday of last week, and I'll move through really quickly here on this review. Hopefully won't eat those words. So let's go back to Thursday of last week and take a look. It was a very low volume day. When in our pre-market, what we were looking at was a lot of good clues for the bulls from the low. But if you remember, you go back, we had pushed whatever it was, maybe 100 points more from that bullish signal, and we were pulling back coming into the open. So I told everybody, assuming the bulls could defend as far as, like, say, the previous daily low, I did still have a bullish bias. And so when the market opened, you can see it still continued pulling back. In fact, it held the back end of Holy Orange Power Level once and twice. So right out of the open, you had an opportunity to try a fade from there with basically no risk and get this whole pullback out of the open. You also had this opportunity to buy the pullback right to that roadmap level just a couple minutes after the market opened there. So held the VWAP, held the fast moving average, held the back end of the Holy Orange Power Level. That led to the pullback, but notice kind of a very textbook thing that we have in the roadmap here is if the bulls can hold the 50% level, which they did right here with a beautiful bullish divergence, right? This was, a couple new lows coming down, and this just kept getting higher and higher and higher. And that is like a perfect bullish divergence formation right at a key roadmap level, right? And from there, got a nice bullish push out. And that was kind of the beginning of the attempt there by the bulls to push higher that day. So again, finding the major rotations of the day, where did they end up showing up? Right off our roadmap levels, right? There's the Holy Orange Power Level for 3 tests. This one was to the tick. And then over here, even when we came all the way back, we rejected off of it, right? Then we came down, held 50% of the previous day with a bullish divergence. That led to the bullish push. And as you can see here, wasn't a straight line, but held the Holy Orange Power Level, bearish divergence, pulled back from it. And then basically we got a nice 38% retracement, right? Basically right to our roadmap level. There's the 38 retrace, and then continued in the direction of that bullish trend. So as you can see, nice pullback off the Hopel again, down into basically VWAP and the 200 moving average here, where they continued to push out. And if you look at the details here, I mean, right to the roadmap level, pulled back, held the roadmap level and the fast moving average, got over that roadmap level, pulled back and held it for a bullish trade all the way up to the back end of the next roadmap level, and then pulled back, and basically we bounced off the 200. This is a textbook pullback. Hold the first test of the 200 for that push out. Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't the first test in this instance. But beautiful opportunity there. Again, it didn't touch it. So if I did have a trade there, it wouldn't have gotten filled. But basically, nice retracement to the 200, and that brought us all the way up. And then what do you know? The high of the day was our next roadmap level, right? So it came all the way up. We rejected off of there and then pulled back. And this is like textbook stuff here. We pull back right back to the Holy Orange Power Level with a bullish divergence as it tests the VWAP. And from there, you get the next largest bounce of the day. So if we zoom out and look at the last couple hours of the market here, as you can see, they pull back and hold the Hopel and then come all the way back up and try to break out, but just do not quite get back up to that high of the day. Now, inside of all the chop at the end of the day, what do we have? We have rotations right off our levels to the tick. Inside of all this stuff, they get all the way up and then reject right off the high of the day before here. Come back, bounce almost to the tick right off that roadmap level again. Kind of meander around inside. And then it's not super clear here, right? But comes back up, pulls back and holds the 200 there for the bounce at the end of the day. And then right at the last couple minutes in the market, we can even zoom in here and see all of this detail. As we sell off, we come back to the back end of the 200, Holy Orange Power Level, previous daily high, fast moving average, pull back off of it again here at the fast moving average, and then reject off the back end of the 200 right at the end of the day. And actually, just a couple minutes before the market closed, there, my friends, on Thursday afternoon, right back to the back end of our roadmap level and the fast moving average for another 5-point pull, or 4 point pullback off of it. That brings us here into the overnight session going into Friday morning. And in the overnight session going into Thursday night, the high of the overnight session is our roadmap level. And then it sells off and comes down and holds the back end of the next roadmap level. And then comes down and holds the back end of the next roadmap level. And then continues to sell off from there and come down and hold the back end of the next roadmap level. It rotates 2 ticks in front of it. And then they even come right back and test it again right there to the tick with the VWAP. And then on the other side of things here, as they're selling off, they held the next roadmap level here to the tick for this bounce. So just unbelievable rotations here. And then here's where we got in. Remember, I was broadcasting. We were doing our pre-market, and I got short right here. Everybody was here, and we watched the whole thing fill as we got into the open on Friday morning. So that's where I got in. It peaked up. It almost stopped me out. And then we went ahead and continued. And if I would have had a much bigger, if I had a bunch more contracts on, I would have been able to ride the whole sell-off. But I was able to get a nice full trade out of that and be done on Friday morning. So I didn't even trade the rest of the day because I got a beautiful trade in multiple accounts to catch this sell-off into the open. Now here comes Friday. Now Friday, another beautiful expose on why we trust these roadmap levels. So Friday, we sell off all in the pre-market, right? And I actually wanted to get in short here, but it was right after we had pulled back and I had opened my Ninja Trader, and so I missed the entry. But all big sell-off, big sell-off. And then what do you know, right? We come to the open and they bounce for a couple minutes right off the next roadmap level here, a major swing. And then they keep going. There's an eventual bounce and they hold the back end of the 200 again. And then as this failed here, this is actually one of my favorite type of trades to jump in on a move. You have all this bearishness. You get a rejection off a major level, starts to pull back, and then you get this little 50% retracement of the previous pullback of the sell-off with a bearish divergence right there off that second high. That, my friends, great opportunity to enter. Now, you never know if it's just going to be a choppy day, but we did have clues. That was the other thing. Coming into Friday, we were expecting the bears to pull the market lower, right? So we expected the bears to continue to push price lower on Friday. And if you look at how Friday turned out, Friday was an extremely bearish day. So we nailed the direction on Friday, just like we did basically on Thursday. And then on the way down, we had plenty of opportunities here to get short. So again, I got short before the market opened with very limited risk. The back end of the 200 would have been a great opportunity once the market opened. And then here's another great opportunity as the market continued to sell off. We came right back up and gave a kiss off the fast moving average, right? Even had some bearish divergence off of it, and then kept going. We didn't bounce to the tick off that next roadmap level, unfortunately, or come to the back end of the next perfectly in this instance, but kept selling off, kept selling off. We get a bounce right off 50% of the day, the week before, and then reject with bearish divergence once again off the fast moving average, and keep going, keep going, keep going. You can see we get a little bit of a bullish response. Unfortunately, it wasn't right at a roadmap level, but came up and then basically rejected off the 200 with a bearish divergence again off that second high right there. That was a nice bearish divergence there. And then came down, and at some point, I feel like it petered out. Some point, it came down and it basically petered out right at this next roadmap area. It peeked through it, got back above it and pulled back right to it there. And then it bounced off of it here. And then it basically held it for all intents and purposes here. So we have this big sell-off, you know, maybe whatever, how many points, 100 points. And they come down right to the next major structure area in the market, our roadmap level, find the support. And notice all the rejections when they got back up here were basically at the next major structure zone, which was our roadmap level. And you even had a great opportunity to get short off this high right here as we peaked right into the level. Could have had a limit order sitting there, big bearish divergence, and then we get another huge flush going into the rest of the end of the day. So great opportunity there. You see these rotations are discreetly off our roadmap levels almost every day. So they come down, they continue selling off, they hold the back end. This is what I love. They continue selling off, they come right up to the back end of that roadmap level, sell off, get through the next one, and then come right up to the back of the next one and reject off there, right? In this case, it didn't tag it to the tick, but you had that previous structure right there, right? So not surprising they didn't quite get fully through it and come up to the level. And then what do you know? At the end of the day, midday, we get the biggest bounce of the day, and it happens to be right at the next major roadmap level here. Now, it wasn't clean. They didn't come right to it on those both. But then on that final test, and this is what we see sometimes when the market gets a little bit messy around a level, is finally when they make the final move, they come right back to it and then give it the kiss that then sends it off for the next push. So this next push up, notice I'm not even mentioning all the notable rotations here. There's a rotation right off the 200 with bearish divergence, right? There's the bounce off the level. Here's all the pullbacks off the fast moving average on the way down. There's another great bearish divergence off the 200. And then here's a beautiful bullish opportunity. If you noticed how much demand was in this area of the chart, the bulls rip out, and then you get that first test of the 200 with bullish divergence. Get in there with basically one tick of risk, and you get the whole bounce at the end of the day on Friday, right? This is why I love this stuff. I get in on trades with very limited risk, and I sometimes can get in for pushes that go 50, 100 points. It's unheard of stuff. So we kept going. And then at the end of the day, man, there was so much volume here on Friday. Notice on the way up, they didn't cleanly hold the first roadmap level, but the next level, right to it, to the tick, pulls back, holds the fast moving average, and then continues going. And then on the way up, they pull back to the tick, right to it right there, with a bullish divergence, basically. Yep, bullish divergence, pull back to that level. Great opportunity to get in on this push if you notice the bulls were in power, and you would have gotten no ticks of risk and should have been able to get another 20, 30 points to the upside from there. Kept going. As you can see, once again, beautiful rotation right off the roadmap level to the tick with bearish divergence again. And then they pull back and hold the 50% level, right, with bullish divergence on these tests. Continues going. There was even a double top pullback off the level again, but they held the VWAP. And then kept going, holding the fast moving average the whole way up with bullish divergence, only to come up to the high of the end of the day, right to the back end of that roadmap level. Did peak through a little bit, and then began the pullback. Kept coming down. You can see all the notable rotations, not beautiful stuff, but also some pretty sexy holds, right? So right off of it, comes down, comes to the next roadmap level, bounces right off of it, giving you this nice push to the fast moving average. Comes down, we bounce almost at the next roadmap level for them to come up and then find rejection right to the tick with a bearish divergence on that second high off the roadmap level, only to come down, find support right around the VWAP and the 200 to the tick. And then here at the end of the day, you see this nice push, and notice once again, let's zoom in and look at the details here. They push through, they pull back, and we give a kiss to the tick off the roadmap level there for the push higher, only to come up and retest that roadmap level to the tick. Remember before here came to the tick, here they went through it by one tick and pulled back at the end of the day. So many good little opportunities all throughout Thursday and Friday of last week. Let's go ahead and jump up to the higher time frames now and look at what has changed since Friday, or at least Friday pre-market. And as you can see, as we're coming into the open here this morning, I think I skipped over what happened here. Let's look at what happened in the overnight session very quickly, because I think we have 10 minutes to go through the higher time frames. So on Sunday, last night, I actually was really disappointed because there was a really good small little scalp here right after the market opened. And I was actually at home, but I was with some family, um, eating some dinner. And I told myself I should probably go check the charts. And again, I'm just sharing with you what I was thinking here. But it sold off coming out of the Globex Open. But this right here, it came up right to the VWAP with a big bearish divergence. It was also a big bearish divergence on my 3-minute chart. So if we go on the 3-minute back to Globex Open here, this was what I saw on my chart as we had tested into the back end of that VWAP. There was a big 3-minute bearish divergence as it was testing the VWAP. You see that there? And then on the 512, if we go back to that, I also had the bearish divergence, and we were testing the back end of 200 in VWAP. So I definitely, if I was here, I would have taken that trade. Now, did I get 20 points out of it? A 20-point move? No. But I was able to get a 2-point and 5-pointer out of it, giving me 7 points. That would have been a nice way to start the week, right? But I wasn't there. And then when I got to the charts, it kind of looked like that or something. And I said, okay. Or maybe it was over here like this. And I said, all right, well, I just have to accept I missed my entry. That was a great opportunity. If I would have taken it, I would have actually gotten into the tick, and I would have gotten 7 points total and then stopped out on my runners, which would have been great. But as you can see, that would have been the perfect opportunity. And then if you notice, 50% of last week was sitting here on the charts, if you were with me last night, at 60.36 quarter. And what do they do out of the Globex Open? They come right up to it and then begin to sell off from there. And then there's that tag, the back end of the 200 and the VWAP with a big bearish divergence that would have given you from 25 down to 18 quarters. So it still gave you just under a 7-point push, and then came back. So let's look at some of the other details here. As the bears continue to remain in power last night, we have basically a major rejection right around the 200 moving average. That was, my friends, if you're watching your fibs, which I am always doing, that was basically a perfect 50% retracement. Comes up, peters up a little more, and then comes right to that 50%. We get basically like a head and shoulders, and then the whole market sells off from there. So you had great opportunity to get short last night. It was very clear that the bears were very, very strong, at least the way I was seeing the charts. And I wanted to get short. I told myself when I opened my stuff right around the Globex Open, I told myself I wanted to find a short. Now, again, I went downstairs, went to eat some food, and I missed out on that entry. So it kept going. Now look at this, my friends. We sell off from the top end roadmap level. Basically the first new level of the week comes right to it. And then they sell off and they come right to our roadmap level for a bounce. So you get a great opportunity there. I mean, there's not a huge divergence that would have given me confidence to buy, but it bounced and then held the back end of the 200 or the fast moving average to keep on coming down. We get the next bounce, kind of not really off of roadmap level, but comes up. And right there, my friends, this was another great opportunity. It was just before I woke up this morning, right off the back end of the VWAP there. You can see it very clearly there, right to the tick. And then look at this big sell-off from there. So got this big sell-off, got through. They just kind of cut through all the roadmap levels, but it is notable here that they cut through and then came right back to the back end of this one, came through the major structure right here at 85, and then came up and kissed it to the back end, right? So you did kind of get that opportunity for that little fade off the back end of the level as they were flushing through. Came down, and now we got this big bounce off this little preliminary level I put on the charts a couple of weeks, maybe a week ago, 59.62.5, and they came right to it here. Look at that big divergence off that low as we were bouncing, right? Huge bullish divergence and a great opportunity to buy. But then what happened? They could not hold, they could not get through the fast moving average, right? And with a big divergence. So great bearish divergence from there, great bearish divergence from the second test of the fast moving average, which was also our roadmap level, and then kept down, cut through the next roadmap level, but came to the back end of it to give it a kiss, and then got another fade opportunity from there. And then now here we are, and within the last couple minutes, they've come right back to kiss the back end of that roadmap level to the tick. And as you can see, the bears are still obviously very strong right now. So let's look at the higher time frames and see if they have anything interesting to clue us in for this morning. Now, it's pretty obvious that the bears are strong right now, but let's go ahead and take a look at the higher time frames real quick. We have about